Hello, everybody. Hare Krishna. So I was just reading a very interesting article by Bhaktisiddhanta called, let's see, I don't want to lose my place, but let's see if I can try. Okay, Organized Religion. Yeah, it's a great little article. And usually I would go systematically to read it, but I'm reading some interesting parts as I'm going through it, and I'm just going to go with my feeling to just go into like a certain idea and conception he's talking about, and we'll discuss it from there. Okay, so sometimes he uses some big words too, and I actually went through a dictionary to get some understanding of the meanings, and it worked out pretty good too. Okay, so I'm just going to pick out certain parts and we'll discuss. We're going to go backwards and forwards and everything. Actually, that's another way of learning. You don't always have to go in line, A to B to C to D. I'm just going to go with my intuition and which is jumping out at me here. Okay. So the church that has the best chance of survival in this damned world is that of atheism under the convenient guise of theism. See, atheism as under the guise of theism. Actually, maybe I should go from the beginning because it does build on certain concepts. I'm going to do that. Okay, so we're going to go from the beginning. Change my mind. It's okay. Okay, so Sri Krishna manifests his eternal birth, the pure cognitive essence of the serving soul, who is located above all mundane limitations. Okay, and that's part of our preaching. To put that simply, is the serving soul. Okay? The serving soul is the Shuddha Bhakta, who's actually beyond the limitations of the world and worldly, like social and social systems, varnashram dharma system, without any of these mundane limitations. It's because the varnashram dharma is a system. It's like a way of management of people and their material propensities. So, and also they try to make some kind of progressive development up towards the spiritual. So, but it's still material, okay? But the Krishna manifests his eternal birth. And now practically, Krishna actually did that when he was here 5,000 years ago, but he can do it again. And he manifests his eternal birth, which is the birth within the individual. That's this new awakening, and this is going to get more clear as we're going into this here. This new awakening of the spiritual senses, because generally people are driven by the mundane material senses, and they utilize them to understand the world through the material senses, including the mind, the material mind, trying to ascertain what is truth, what is reality through the medium of the senses, picking up, trying to analyze everything through material senses. Okay? So now Krishna manifests his eternal birth. See? So eternal birth, he came here 5,000 years ago. It's his eternal birth. But he's always eternal and he's always existed. But he appears to be born in this world, and his birth is a transcendental birth. He's a Shuddha Bhakti manifestation and presence. And manifestation and presence of the transcendental platform of the absolute realm, the eternal realm. Okay? So in this world is a manifestation of the Lord's temporary manifestation. So it comes and it goes. But the Lord's appearance in this world, even though he appears to come and go, he doesn't really come and go. He just appears to appear because he's an eternal mortal being. It's the same thing for the soul. The soul is also, according to the Vaishnava teaching and disciplic line, is spiritual. Okay? So the soul is spiritual, Krishna is spiritual. Now, the relationship between the soul of the living entities is eternal. And it's meant to be in relationship with the supreme eternal. And that's one of the forms of that supreme eternal is Krishna. Another is the devotee. Those who have realized that relationship. They're awakened their spiritual birth. In other words, Krishna or God or Christ, different words for the same principle, has awakened in them, and now they're aware of a new level of consciousness. And they're not just ascertaining understanding just from their material senses. Just from, well, I can feel this, therefore it's real. It's real. But we need another, to understand everything truly and clearly and completely, we need another way to do that. So we need another way to ascertain what is the real truth and what is reality, the ultimate reality, okay? So that's what that's getting into. So King Kamsa, the demon king who wanted to kill Lord Krishna, see? So King Kamsa in the pastimes of Krishna in 10th canto, he wanted to kill Krishna. Now, who does Krishna, what does he represent? What is the difference between Kamsa and Krishna? Okay? So Kamsa represents actually a spirit soul that's encased in the body. Okay? And to get more clear about his relationship with Krishna, see, he's still materially minded, worldly minded. So he is naturally in opposition to the birth of Krishna when he was here. So the birth of Krishna represents the transcendental potency, full of bliss, full of ecstasy, full of transcendental knowledge, conclusive understanding of the truth, the whole truth. Kamsa represents the opposition to that. Okay? So Krishna appears as a person, but he also can appear within his devotees. He awakens in the devotees' hearts. See, and causes the same dynamic. See, and that's more applicable for us. Otherwise, it's just a story. It has no meaning for us much other than, well, it's a nice story. Krishna comes, so they fight and all that. But actually, how we need to look at how that actually relates to our situation, our life. Well, Krishna can not only be born as he was 5,000 years ago, okay, or in another form like Lord Ram, many, many thousands of years ago before that, or in the form of Lord Chaitanya 500 years just previously, or in his form as Christ, very different, Jesus Christ. You know, some people consider him a devotee, but that's up to debate. Okay? Or he can be born inside us. See? That's called the spiritual rebirth. Jesus talked about that. He said, you must be born again to enter the kingdom of God. You have to have a spiritual awakening. Okay? So the Christians, they call it the Holy Spirit awakening. Okay? Lord Chaitanya taught about this and demonstrated this in the form of Krishna arising in the heart. It's the same thing. Okay? Krishna, or this transcendental consciousness awakening in one's heart and making the spirit soul, which we are, now conscious of this spiritual relationship with the Lord. See, this is a level of enlightenment, the beginning of enlightenment. See? Otherwise, the spirit soul is outwardly directed towards the material senses like Kamsa and trying to ascertain what is reality by what you experience with your senses. See? But that's going to be faulty. See? Ultimately, that's only part of the picture as to what this is just the temporary world, man. I mean, ultimately, how important is it just to ascertain, spend our whole lives ascertaining, okay, this is a orange. Why? Well, we named it orange and smells nice and we'll call it orange smell and has an orange flavor. Isn't that nice? Well, we've analyzed the orange. So we're doing that with everything in life. Analyzing things by, well, yeah, I can see it, and it's yeah, this is a nice orange. Yeah, we'll call it orange. You know, it's orange, and we call it orange color. You know, all kinds of stuff. But that's all knowledge that we're developing and accumulating through our senses. See? But it's all to do with this temporary body that we have and temporary mind also. And so it kind of goes when we go. That just knowledge is not useful anymore. You don't need it. And then until you take another birth, and then you got to develop it all over again. You got to learn from your parents that this is an orange, you know, and go and smell it, feel it, you know, wow, you know, its texture, eat it, orange. And then you do that all over again and again and again. If you're just a hardcore materialist, worldly person. And that goes on for many lifetimes usually. See? Many lifetimes. Until you, usually the way it works is you meet a bona fide representative of the spiritual potency. See? Where that Krishna, that transcendental manifestation, the Vaishnavas call Shuddha Bhakti, has awakened in their heart, and also awakened simultaneously a realization that, oh, my relationship is with that particular transcendental form of God, and not with just the forms of the world. Okay? So now the person is being driven in a new direction of completeness and wholeness. See? And so anyway, this is a very deep thing, and one needs teachings and teachers, usually, unless you bring it in from the past life, and then you can learn from the books that have been written about these things. See, very easier to educate, okay? So now, you see, there's a difference between the empiricist who develops all their understanding and knowledge from the world and worldly senses and sense objects like this. And that's called a worldly person. Okay, you know what? I'm going to advertise this here. Let me just take a second out here. Share. Okay. We'll share it in Messenger here. Okay. So, I think we're going to go over this again because it's a very deep concept and it's important to get. Okay, well, anyway, I'll just keep going here and then we'll probably go back because I think we'll have some people joining us. So, the typical King Kamsa, the demon king, who wanted to kill Krishna. See, kill Krishna means basically you want to stamp out the persons that actually have developed this higher consciousness, deeper consciousness, more complete consciousness, because you don't believe in them. You believe that they're lunatics. Okay? Because the way a person that is transcendently, spiritually reborn The way they understand the world is by this Bhagavad Gita principle of Bhagavad Gita 10:10, is they worship the Lord, they worship this Krishna, in our line we call it Krishna, or you could be worshiping Jesus, or you could be worshiping Lord Ram, so your particular form, transcendental form of the Lord. Okay? And the way one ascertains the understanding of reality and even of the world is by revelation. And that's actually the scriptures were written through revelation. See? By those kinds of persons who could ascertain the more complete picture based on contact with Krishna, or their particular cherished form, transcendental form of worship of God, deity. Okay? So now you have this fight, and often the Kamsa principle of the empiricist is in religion. Okay? They also, you notice, in the religionists, are representing this Kamsa principle, because usually most in religion are against those in whom the spirit of devotion has awakened. Okay? Those who actually have that spirit of devotion awakened know what I'm talking about. Okay? So there's opposition there. See, opposition. And so in religion, many empiricists join religion. Okay? And then they just continue on with their empirical beliefs that they ascertain that, and spiritual advancement even, is all according to what they see with their material senses and have ascertained. Oh, and so a practical example of that, simply put, is I look, well, this person was stamped guru by our organization. So therefore, you should follow them and consider them a bona fide spiritual master. Okay? Yeah, let's see. Yeah. So you see they ascertain, or this person is advanced because they follow the material varnashram system very strictly, which is still a material system. And you're ascertaining that by saying, well, do you come to the program regularly? Yes. Oh, you're spiritually advanced. Oh, are you a sannyasi? Yes. You have the cloth and you follow the regulative principles like that. Oh, you're advanced. See, that's empirical, what do you call it? Empirical, you're ascertaining the truth by empiricism, which you can't do. If you just depend on seeing like this person is spiritually